What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua asked what Tyson Fury, what makes him so fearless? What has he done to make him so fearless? Anthony Joshua said that Tyson Fury hasn't been in the deep end long enough to be considered intimidating. Joshua criticized the amount of difficult fights that his fellow world heavyweight champion has battled through. He said at Sky VIP event, he says, "What have you seen from Fury? A couple feints, moving around? What have we seen that makes him seem so intimidating? Speed?" Wow. He says, if the sport is lacking so much talent, then all you need is feints and movement to be classed as a great of this generation. He says, with hard work, motivation, and studying, you can overcome that. So what does people see in Fury that is so fearsome, intimidating, that he can't be touched at the top level? I take him as a serious challenger, of course, but resume, it's taken him a long time to grow. His fight with Vladimir Klitschko was his real challenge, and he overcame it, but it took him 8 years to build his experience and confidence. Then he had 2 years out and fought Deontay Wilder. He hasn't been in the deep end for long enough to show me that he can swim there for a long time. You have to continually prove that you belong there. You don't just come there once or twice. For me as a fighter, that's how you gain my respect. Wow. You know, a lot of people, and I've already seen videos about what Joshua said about Fury, okay? And he's right about a lot of things in this. He would pass this questionnaire, okay, because the things that he's asking, a lot of people have actually asked, you know, of Tyson Fury. You know, that's one of his worst parts, you know, with as his resume. You know, you fight Vladimir Klitschko, then 3 years later you fight Deontay Wilder, and then a year later you fight Deontay Wilder again, then you're considered a great. But the problem is, when he fought Klitschko, when he fought Wilder, they were always coming from something else. Is he gained it, but then he wasn't there. Even when he did fight Wilder for the first time and he did the unthinkable, he did something that a lot of people, including myself, didn't think he could do. He then takes another year off and fights 2 other people that we haven't heard of, that wasn't at the top 3 or wasn't on the level, okay? And it just makes you think like, okay, well, what has he really done, you know? And the one thing he's staying consistent with is inconsistency, okay? So you fight Klitschko in 15, then you fight Wilder in 18, then you fight again in 2000. You fight Wilder again in 2020. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, that isn't really showing people that he can stay consistent. And before people get all razzle-dazzle about what Joshua said, first off, I probably should have said this first. Joshua didn't say he's never been in the deep end, okay? Because for Joshua to say he's never been in the deep end would discredit his win over Vladimir himself, because they both fought the same guy, okay? And then Joshua would come off as a hater, right? Because Wilder just boxed him, stayed on the outside, used his awkwardness and his speed. And when you do that to Vladimir at times, Vladimir does get lackadaisical and he gets too complacent and doesn't want to commit to certain punches, okay? But Tyson Fury did that in a 12-round snooze fest. But he did that though, mind you. So if Joshua said, oh, he's never been in the deep end, he did not say that, people, okay? He said he hasn't been in the deep end long enough. Consistent, constant. He hasn't done that through and through. He's done that 15, 18, 20, okay? That's what he's done. That's Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury wins, you know, look, based on what Tyson Fury has done, He beats Wilder again. He could say, hey, you know what? Something else will come up and he stays out of the ring again, you know. But that would be consistent with what he's really been doing for the last 5 years. He comes and goes, right? But I do think that Tyson Fury does need to prove what he needs to do, okay? And I think that one thing he does need to say to shut everybody up, including Anthony Joshua, is to defend his title, his WBC title, something he didn't do when he was a unified champion, okay? Beat Wilder, successfully defend his title, take on his mandatory, because that's also an obligation of being a champion. Fight Anthony Joshua, beat Anthony Joshua twice, and then after that, continue fighting the other guys that he claims he wants all the smoke with. He said he'll annihilate Wilder, Joshua, and then all the other heavyweights. Then he must do that. If he does that, then he should get the recognition of being one of the greatest heavyweights of this era. If not the top, because he's beat Wilder, then Joshua, then everyone else that wanted some. Because that had to be White too, right? So you give White the opportunity. So you beat Wilder, White, Joshua. Your resume has sparked. Think about it. Klitschko, Wilder, Joshua, White, right? If he can do that, he would be on the money and he would erase and silence all critics. That's what he would absolutely do by doing that. You know, but saying it versus doing it is another thing. And to counterpunch Anthony Joshua, for what he's saying is correct. But the way he's saying that, he's talking with confidence. He's talking that, hey, you got to come see me. I hear him. However, saying it the way he's saying it, because he's going to get a lot of criticism for saying it, he better be and have every intention on knocking Fury the fuck out. You know what I mean? I mean, beating him down already to go in there and give it all he got. You know what I mean? To back up what he said. Because what Joshua's saying is, I've been there versus Fury. Fury ain't been there. Fury's been, you know, hit and miss. I've been consistent. So what does that mean? What does that prove? That proves that that consistent guy has a credo to uphold. And what that credo means is me being consistent as a champion needs to beat the guy that's not. Because it shows you when you're consistent, that means you're better. That means you are not necessarily better, but it means you're more likely with the opposition that you have to beat this guy that is hit and miss. Because if the guy that comes in and beats you and he's a hit and miss kind of guy like Fury is, that just means he can do what he wants and not take tough fights and can still beat you. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's imperative for Anthony Joshua to go in there and put a whooping on Tyson Fury, but then Tyson Fury has to prove himself as a legitimate, consistent champion. But anyway, that's my counterpunch on that, guys. You guys tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunching. Peace.